Jonah, son of Amittai, is mentioned in 2 Kings 13:25 during the reign of King Jeroboam II of Israel, which dates him around the early 8th century BCE. But it seems like Jonah is given a real name only to give credence to a text that is both myth and allegory. The language and themes of the text indicate a much later scenario, which could be as late as the 3rd century BCE, when the Near East is being Hellenized and the issues of the time are universalism and salvation. The story begins with a call from God to get up and go to Nineveh, the great city, and tell her inhabitants that their actions have been evil in God's eyes. Jonah's immediate response is to flee to Tarshish, as if he were able to run from God's presence. Jonah's flight from God is not only a personal fear of responsibility, but a resistance to the spiritual call that is innate in every human being.
Vayakom Jonah livrok Tarshisha milifnei Adonai vayered Yafo vayimsa Oniyah Ba'at Tarshish Vayitin Sikara Vayered Ba Lavoi Mahem Tarshisha Adonai.
Jonah is the dove who is descended from truth, but is not yet ready to embrace it. He is young, like humankind. He has been given the gift of life, but is uncertain of his purpose. When he is frightened, he flies away. He is not sure about this voice that calls him. Jonah represents each of us as we attempt to define our independence and accept our destiny. Similar to the story of Pinocchio, God, like Geppetto, knows what he wants from Jonah, but he cannot make him do it. Geppetto taught Pinocchio to walk, and then Pinocchio ran away. When Jonah and Pinocchio face their death, they are humbled and open their hearts with compassion. Both are swallowed by the great fish and must find their way to wholeness through deeds of kindness.
Vatashlicheni mitzulah bilvav yamim v'nahar yesuvveni kol mishparecha v'galecha alai avaru.
Jonah is an adolescent who rejects the demands of the Father and is in conflict with himself. He is thrown by the sailors into the primordial seas and the womb of the great fish. There he begins a rebirth experience toward compassion. From the belly of the fish, Jonah calls to God. I have cried out to God, and he answered me. From the belly of the deep, I pleaded, and you heard my voice. You cast me into the depths, into the heart of the seas. You brought up my life from the pit. His turning, teshuvah, is enough for God, who tells the fish to expel Jonah onto dry land. Once again, God says, "Get up and go to Nineveh, the great city." And this time, Jonah does as he is told.
ויחל יונה לבוא וירא מלאך יום אחד ויקרא ויאמר עוד 40 יום וננבה נפחת.
That's what he said, and that's all it took. The people got the message, repented, and were saved.
ויגע הדבר אל מלך נינווה ויקום מכיסאו ויעבר עד ארצו מעליו ויחזק וישב על האפר ידעי
But their repentance and salvation made Jonah angry, and he asked God to end his life. He went outside the city to sulk and built himself a sukkah to see what would happen. God made a gourd plant grow shade for Jonah, and he delighted in its comfort. Then, when a little worm destroyed it, he wanted to die again. God challenged him. Is anger better than compassion? If you loved this plant, how much more do I love my children? All of them, not just the Jews.
וירא האלוהים את מעשיהם כי שבו מדרכם הרעה וינחם אלוהים על הרעה אשר דיבר לעשות להם ולא עשה.
The story of Jonah has an open ending as well as an open beginning. We do not know what became of Jonah. Perhaps he truly repented. Perhaps he went away angry. Most likely he grew up and learned to choose compassion over anger and fear. Jonah represents the quest of every human being to hear the inner call and know how to respond. We come from a mysterious beginning, and we return to the open-ended journey of the soul. How we live our lives is the script of the story.
Yada